Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CinePresto. I am a filmmaker, an actor, and a YouTube creator, have been for the last 5 years. Today, I actually want to do a little bit something different. I know there's been a lot of controversy recently over the new Marvel Spider-Man Remaster and their decision to change the face actor for Spider-Man himself. I have a video here from Marvel Moments where they've actually done the nice work to actually put the scenes together from the original game and then from the new remastered PS5 edition. I want to actually go over some of the decisions here and perhaps maybe I'd like to debunk some of the stuff they've changed in the last 2 years since the original game released, and actually explain why I think the original might be better than the new remaster. I know there's a lot of controversy drawn to the new face, but I'd like to focus a little less on that today. I will talk a little bit about it, but let's just get into the video and just see what we find. So.
Peter, I saw you as a son. I should have known you'd turn on me, just like all the others.
Alright, so first off, I'd like to point out something that really stuck out to me in this scene is that naturally you have the new face here, and then you have the old Peter here. I don't recall exactly the actors' names, but I think more specifically here, rather than simply just looking at the face, I'd like to point out that actually there's some lighting going on here in Peter's eyes, actually, which is a really great indication that the original animators took the time to animate this detail and have the light reflect off his eyes so that way we can see what he's really expressing and feeling here. A lot of the criticism for the new face has been aimed at how the new face isn't actually more expressive as originally was justified by Insomniac, the company behind the games. And I think that's probably has something to do with why people think that this original one is just a lot more expressive. As you can see here over in the near one, Peter's eyes just don't have that same glint. You can't really see what he's expressing, and I'm trying to zoom in right here. I think maybe on a full screen TV it might be a little clearer, but I mean, as it stands, this glint in his eye makes a huge difference. That and the overall color palette decision and choice in the original, it makes a lot more sense to me. I think the decision to actually gray out Peter's face and to keep him consistent with the scene that's going on just makes a lot of sense. I feel like in the new one, they artificially added a new light source, and that's what's kind of throwing it off. And the lighting coming from this side is actually illuminating his face and just trying to draw attention to it. When really, I think that the overall atmosphere of the scene really matters here in this case, because this is Peter getting his heart ripped out effectively. His mentor, the person that he looked up to, has basically betrayed him. And to really shroud him all in gray really was a great decision in that original game. I could definitely feel what was going on when I played that. Let's keep going.
Turn. I've worshipped you. Your mind, your conscience, wanting to help others. The way you never gave up.
Yeah, as you can see here, it's even more apparent right here that there's an artificial light source going on over here from somewhere around here off camera. Like I said, I just think that overall this just matches the tone of the scene that they're going for right over here a little better.
Men like us have a duty, a responsibility, to use our talents in the service of others, even if they don't appreciate it.
You can see that sweat. Oh yeah, as you can see, the detail too is incredible here in the original. You can see the sweat coming off his forehead, and it's amazing. The tears are coming out of his eyes. Over here, there's like, I don't know what happened. Like, there's nothing going on here. I like how this scar is a little more accentuated to show that he's been really hurt from this, but man, you can see all this like happening at the same time. It really feels like they just animated and made that fit perfectly. Yeah, and like I said, the eye thing is really distracting. The lack of glint in his eye really makes him feel unexpressive and just more life model decoy than actual Spider-Man.
Do what's best for those beneath us.
I'd like to take a second to draw some attention to Otto here. That artificial light source has actually overexposed this side of his face too. I think this one you can just kind of see everything a little more balanced here. But I think like I mentioned, that artificial light source was really added just to accentuate Peter more than anything. So there's very little difference here. I just think tonally this fits a little more, personally. I'm a little biased here, having just played this version. I never played the newer version yet, the remaster version. But I do think that out of the light sources, I think this one does benefit. This side of his face does benefit a little more. You can see more of the detail that's going on over here, as opposed to the original one.
Do they understand it or not?
No, you're wrong! You are everything I wanted to be! You just threw it away!
Yes, of course. You're right, Peter. Oh, I see that now. The neural interface affected my mind.
A little detail back here. I'm just going to rewind a little second. Yeah, the lighting. They added a light back to the arms over here for some reason. And I think it's for similar... I think they just decided to relight this whole scene in the new remaster. As you can see, there's more detail going on over in these little like pegs here. But yeah, ultimately that Yuri Lowenthal did a great job capturing the emotions that Peter's going through at that time. So I just think the darker atmosphere and what they're aiming for initially just really worked for the scene. I didn't really find a need for them to actually buff up the lighting again because I kind of understood what each of the characters were going through.
The neural interface affected
They added a few more, as you can notice, they added a few more of these sparkle effects coming down too, actually.
But I can fix it. We can fix it. Together. If you'll help me.
Do everything I can. I'll make sure you get the best help.
No! If they put me away, they'll take my arms. I'll be trapped in this.
So more of a story, more of a story thing here too. When I first saw this scene, like I think the voice acting really was what brought me into it. I think that story-wise there were some issues with how it built up to this moment, but man, that voice acting really sold me on all the emotions these guys were going through. I want to point out something interesting here that I didn't notice before. There's like a little bit of broken glass on this mat here, which just makes sense. And they removed it in the new remaster for some odd reason. I have no idea why they would do that. I think the shot is really well composed. I do want to draw attention. Oh, and they did add a little more contrast to his suit, so then that really stands out now. I like that change, actually. That's a good change. I think this shot right here really benefited the most from the lighting change, because now I can see everything that's going on here. And there's a little... I wish that there was a little bit more lighting to keep his face kind of in the light, and maybe the back of Otto's head to be a little more in the dark, right? So that I can see how that'd be a little challenging given everything. Let's just get back there. All right. Yeah, but this is a great shot just because of the way it's composed. It's really meant to reflect how Otto is just a broken man at this point.
I'll be trapped in this useless body. Please, Peter.
Yeah. The fact that he's broken both physically and mentally now, it really works. Either way, I think in that shot, it's just so well composed and thought out.
That wasn't me. You said you'd never abandon me. You promised. Remember? And of course, you rest easy, knowing your secret is safe with me.
So and this is really, I think, one of the first clear shots where we get of both their faces, and we can kind of compare this again. I just don't understand why they didn't have a light coming from like down here, so that way we could get a reflection off of his eyes. I think the excuse that, like, you know, what is it? Otto's suit might provide some source of light would make sense here, but man, this works so much better simply because we get a glint in his eye. We see what he's going through. You know, that's really what good lighting is that you want to make sure these eyes are glinted so that we can see what he's feeling right now. The sweat is still there. I don't even doubt for a second that this guy has been through hell and back. You know, this Spider-Man. This one, he just looks mildly disgusted. Let's be real clear right here. This man here has the depressed demeanor of a millennial man, This man has the unexaggerated swagger of some Andy Samberg ripoff that you found off the side of the street. Not to be super mean, I think the new face model had its uses, especially in the sequel too. But man, in this one, it's very night and day. Which one is better? When I first saw the new Peter Parker for PS4, I thought that it was literally just a temporary face. I wasn't sure if they were going to use that in the final, but lo and behold, that's what they used in the final. And man, I think that if they were to go back and really just add a patch, like just add some lighting to his eyes, and that's going to soften the blow a lot more. I know they're confident with their decision, and I trust that Insomniac people are smarter than me. They'll have a good way to make sure that this stays consistent in the future with the lighting. But man, also really cool detail here that I'm also noticing now is just that you can see all these scratches look a little more out of focus and faded just because of that lighting, you know, that is coming from there. So yeah, everything works to compose it. I think that keeping Peter in the dark here is a smart decision because he is facing a dark decision here. He's going to have to make one of the toughest decisions of his career as Spider-Man, honestly. They lit up the background in order to make that contrast better. And yeah, it just really works way more for me atmospherically over on the left side here. I also don't know why more sparks were necessary. It's kind of distracting now that I pointed it out.
It's all any of us can.
Peter?
Even when it hurts like hell.
Peter, where?
Okay, so now since the lighting over here has been amped up from some mysterious source and then now it switches back, it's just kind of strange. Because I have no idea where that light was coming from. I think they just made it like stronger from here. But the idea here is that you're trying to have him walk towards the light and not be tempted by Otto, right? So then now to light him up here makes a lot of sense. But he's walking back towards the dark. I also love how right here you can see how his emblem is really sticking out above all else. Right, his white Spider-Man emblem it really does a lot of favors for this scene. It just contrasts so nicely with the yellow motif that Otto had going on too in his arms.
Peter? Peter!
Great voice acting overall. I think I'm gonna go through this side a little faster. As you can see, Spider-Man's costume on the left side, it doesn't seem as saturated. I think the newer lighting and remaster just made this really saturated, and it's very off-putting. This is like kind of like a realistic tone for what his costume might look like, but man, this sticks out so hard. This looks like a Zentai Zone suit, frankly. I think at this point I'm just gonna play the whole scene just because it's so impactful, and I can explain these things after. I'll go back and look at shot choice later.
You're gonna be okay, ma'am. I've got the cure right here.
Take off your mask. I want to see my nephew.
You knew?
I've known for a while.
I never wanted you to worry.
I did. And I am so proud of you. And Ben would be too. All the people you've saved.
I don't know what to do.
Yes, you do.
Man, that's such a hard to watch scene, honestly. This was so well done. Either version really takes it. But I guess I'll point out the hair color change over here is just really interesting to me. saturated. It seems like they just saturated a lot of the colors and made them stand out. I don't know why. Did they remove a book? No, they didn't. So, I think the most important thing to notice is right here is that just the lighting on the left side, just on the original, just really makes it seem like Aunt May is dying. I don't feel like Aunt May is dying in the new one. So I can't, that does take me out of the scene just a little bit. And then right over here, we have the new hair color. I think to the newer remasters credit, there is a moment right here which I caught thanks to the better lighting on Aunt May. She says, "You know what to do," I think. But man, this lighting here is so good. Now, if you've watched Breaking Bad or a lot of other shows which are really well thought out intentional lighting, this is the sort of lighting they'll go for. Very atmospheric, half the face. He's making a conflicted decision right now. That's always the crux of Spider-Man, right? He's always got to make the tough decision. And so they reflected it in his lighting. Over here, I mean, I just see like the scratches, but it feels just kind of out of place here. They've even darkened the suit now that I've pointed that out. But yeah, it really does feel like he has to make this tough decision. You can see the tears on his face. Right here. Right here's the detail that I mentioned, but you can see the sweat on her face. It's wow. Right here. This is the little expression that really stuck out to me. It seems like she could express herself a little more just in that moment. So I think that was a good choice in the remaster to help Aunt May be a little bit more of an expressive character, especially since this is like her last moment. So that was a good decision and change. Yeah, there's a lot more subtlety in the new one. Then will he do it? And like I'm telling you too, that motivated lighting, he's considering it for a moment. The dark thought creeps in his head that he could just save his aunt and let millions die in New York due to a virus. Oh no. But he can't do it. And then his face comes back to the light. And that's why that original version of the scene is just so well directed. I think that the intentional lighting, you can even see it in the serum bottle right here. Half and half, right? You know, that was his choice, and he puts it down. And I think that this new one actually does a good job too at actually balancing the lighting out over here on this time around. But so there are a few good changes overall in the remastered version, especially when watching this ending. I think that both versions were knocked out of the park by Insomniac. They're a great team of dedicated people that actually put a lot of thought into it. But overall, the original just takes the cake for me, just simply because they did a lot in terms of intentional lighting. I think the backlash to the to the face change would have been a lot easier to swallow if they didn't say that, oh yeah, it's just to make him more expressive, because a lot of the decisions they made in the original already did a great job of making him feel expressive. The facial expressions, the sweat, just the lighting. They did bring back the glint in his eye in the scene. I'll have to point out here, they did a good job here. So it's not like cut and dry. They just forgot it out in the other scene, and then he just looks like a dead LMD the entire time. But man, I think overall the original just had so many good directing choices, and that just makes me, you know, really get into the scene a little more. I think every single decision that you make when you come up with a scene like this really counts, especially if you're trying to hit those home run emotional moments out of the park. So, but overall, yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying the game if you have it already. I have not had a chance to play the remaster yet. What are your thoughts if you have? Thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.